Please be joined this time by Coach Riley Niblett at Gainesville. Coach, first off, fantastic year overall, but a fantastic year on special teams, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a fun ride. When we got here in January, the seniors bought into what, obviously my uncle Josh Niblett and the rest of the staff that he brought in were trying to teach them. And, we had a tight knit group, one of the most low maintenance groups I've probably ever been a part of. And special teams was a big thing for us. And we took pride every game in trying to find ways to win on special teams, not just survive. So I can't wait to get to talk about some of that with y'all tonight.
Yeah, let's get at it, Coach. Let me get out of the way and let's talk about some special teams.
All right. So today, guys, what I want to talk about is just the culture that we have, the organization in which we go about instilling that culture, and then the ways that we practice and implement the things that we believe in. Hopefully you can find some value in some of this that I show you. If any of you guys ever have any questions, I'll my Twitter is at Coach R Niblett, N-I-B as in boy, L-E-T-T. And I would love to get with any of you guys that have any questions once you see this or anything of the sort. But the first thing I want to start off with is just our identity. And our identity is we call our special teams we fence. It's something that's important to our head coach, important to me. And all that means, guys, is it's offense and defense together. So it's we. We over me is something that's big within our culture here at Gainesville. And so that's what we title our special teams. So our whole deal is we want to change the game. We want to change the game. I've been at places before, and I know that some of you may have as well, where, man, let's just get the punt off, or let's just catch the ball and get it to the offense. And I've never really liked that approach because I really believe that there's so much that you can do on special teams to help your team gain an edge outside of just offense and defense. And I also think that it's big for your culture that you can create that consistency across all three phases. So changing the game is big for us. And the way that we do that is we have a one-play mentality. No matter what's just happened on offense or defense, if it's a kickoff and we just scored, great, celebrate. Okay, boom, you're in the huddle. It's over. It's all about being 1-0 on this play. All right, defense just gave up a big touchdown. Now we got to get our kickoff return unit out there. Okay, it's over. Somebody just got chewed out by a defensive coach. They're on the way to my huddle. As soon as I get there, boom, I tell them, hey, it's over. We're going to be 1-0 right here, have a one-play mentality. Because our goal is to establish the winning edge for our team. Another goal of ours is we want to create momentum. Coach Niblett here, my Uncle Josh, talks about momentum moments. And I truly believe that we have such a great opportunity every time that we're on the field to create momentum moments. And I always like to tell our guys that if we don't have momentum, it's coming our way. And a big way that we can help create that for our team is by what we do on special teams. And so that's something that's big for us. And then impact players are game changers. It doesn't matter if you're a starter, if you're a JV guy, freshman, senior, doesn't matter. It's how can you establish yourself within the team to find a role to change the game. And then it matters when it matters, and that's all the time. So who we are. I believe that a red elephant puts the team above self, giving relentless effort and embracing his roles in order to significantly impact the outcome of a game and season. So put the team above self, being we over me, giving relentless effort, going as hard as he can for 4 to 6 seconds from point A to point B, and then embracing his role, whatever that may be. He may just only get reps on kickoff. He may be playing the whole game and has to go, right? Whatever that role is, his goal is to significantly impact the outcome of a game and a season by the job that he does on our units. One of the ways that we go about instilling this culture to each individual player is we talk about and being 11 strong. 11 strong. All 11 guys on the field working together for a common goal. So this is a slide that I'll show our guys in the meeting. And at the end of the day, this is all that it encompasses, doing your job. And we believe that our 11 best beat their best 11. The best 11 on the field, that's what everybody in the stands thinks. That's what everybody in the media thinks. But the 11 best, that's who we know is the best. 11 best guys working together can beat anybody else's best 11. Another thing that I like to share with our guys is a quote that says, "Your actions are so loud, I can't hear what you're saying." Your actions are so loud, I can't hear what you're saying. So don't tell me, if you're a senior, that you want to continue to play football in November, but you're too good to go hard on practice when we're working punt reps, or we're working block point drill, or we're asking you to protect on field goal or rush on field goal block after a big play just happened. Because your actions are telling me that you're good. You're good with where you're at. And so that's something big that I like to tell our guys, because they are what they put on film. As a coach, I am what I put on film, and I own that. And so we share that accountability with each other. And then toughness and perfect effort is the foundation for our success on defense. We believe in those two things wholeheartedly. I like to share this quote with them as well. Some of you may have heard this before. It's by General G.K. Chesterton. And he said, "The true general fights not because he hates what is in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him." And I couldn't agree with that more. The bond that we were able to create this year, just within our locker room, within our coaching staff, was special, was really, really special. And I believe that one of the big reasons why we were able to be successful is because we were so worried about being the best Gainesville that we could be. It didn't matter who we played. Whether they were bigger, faster, stronger, maybe they weren't quite as talented, it didn't matter, because all we were worried about on the field is being the best that we could be because of who's beside us, because we care about the guy and love the guy that's beside us. Now, in terms of specific football beliefs that I have just about special teams, is I always want to boil the game for our guys down to technique and effort. So we want to develop technique that gives them a transferable skill set to offense, defense, and college. That's one of the great things about coaching special teams to me, is I get to coach every type of technique that there is on the field. And then confidence is belief in our technique. So it's my job as a coach to show them, to demonstrate that technique, to coach them hard during practice so that they perfect that technique and then do it over and over and over and over again, because that's going to create the confidence and the belief. And then we believe in relentless effort. I mean, we're all in. You're either all in or all out. And so we believe in going as hard as we possibly can for the average football play, which is 4 to 6 seconds. And we want to do that from point A to point B, whatever that may be on that unit. Now, why is special teams important? And some of you guys know this, but I like to share these statistics just with our guys that don't. Teaching them the game is something that's really important to me. And so field position is obviously huge. You know, you see the statistics. If we can start with the ball from the 30 to the 40, we got a 20% chance to score. We move that up to the 50-yard line. Now we're at a 60% chance to score. So if we can create momentum moments that put our team in an advantageous situation, field position wise, then we're doing our job. We're doing our job. And that's what I'm talking about by changing the game. Game-changing plays specifically, if we can block a punt, we have a 90% chance to win. We block a kick, we have a 57% chance to win. Punt return for a touchdown, 88% chance to win. And a KOR TD, 65% chance to win. So that's why I believe in truly creating a culture within the program to thrive on special teams, not just survive, because that's what's going to give us the advantage when we do play those teams who are just trying to survive on it because they're just worried about offense and defense. You know, the other night we had our banquet, and our most improved player was our punter. He had 15 kicks over 40 yards, 5 over 50, and had a longest 65. And what I told everyone in the crowd was, to the ordinary eye, a 40-yard punt isn't that big of a deal. It's just routine. But if it was a 40-yard pass or a 40-yard fumble return, man, everybody be on their feet, clapping, cheering, going crazy. Well, there's so many ordinary moments in the game to most people that you can create big plays on special teams. And I just take pride in helping our guys see what those are and how they can help our team. Roster-wise, you know, roster development is big for us, and I think should be big for you as well. And I'd love to dive deeper into this topic if you have any specific questions, but I'd love to give them examples. So if, everybody talks about wanting to play in the NFL. Well, if you talk about you're getting to the regular season, there's going to be 53 total spots per team. Only 46 of those are going to be active on game day. Out of those 46, you're going to have 2 or 3 quarterbacks. You're going to have 5 starting O-line, 4 starting D-line, 4 protected skill players, and then probably 3 specialists. All right. So that lowers the room that's left to 34 roster spots and 27 spots that are active on game day. So I'm just trying to teach our guys, like, if that's your goal to make money playing this game, then the way that you can increase your value, that increases your opportunities, is by finding a way to contribute at a high level on special teams. You want to go play college football? Well, you go on the road, there's going to be a travel roster of 70 guys. You got your 2 deep on O&D, that's 46, okay? 2 extra quarterbacks, that's 66% of the team. You take 6 specialists, 8% of the team, there's going to be 18 spots left. 26% of the spots are left for special teams. So again, just instilling that belief in them, transferring that culture that, hey, this is not just something that I want to do good so that I look good. No, like, this will benefit you. Give them a transferable skill set that helps them on offense, defense, and then eventually leading into college. Matthew Slater is a great example. He's drafted by the Patriots in 2008 as a receiver, and he actually has 1 career reception. They just renewed his contract, and I think it's at $2.62 million now, actually. So this is a great example that if you do a great job on special teams, if you're a leader, if you do the right things in the classroom, you're always going to have an opportunity to continue to play the game that you love. And then what Matthew said about Coach Belichick is he doesn't view starters as too important for special teams. He views special teams as too important not to use his best players. So that's what we try to do here at Gainesville as well. Whoever is the best for that role, we're going to use them. Whether they're a starter, a young guy, it doesn't matter. It's not about, hey, how many starters can I use or how many young guys can I use? Like, who is the best for that specific role with what you're trying to accomplish? And that's what we believe in. And then, the previous 3 national champions, Georgia and Alabama, well, let's see what their head coaches have to say. And so I share that with our guys. So that way they see, like, hey, this is not just Coach Riley up there trying to sell me something. No, like, this is real. This is real life. If you want to go play in the league, you want to go play at Georgia, Alabama, have a chance to continue to extend your career after high school, then you've got to find a way to contribute on special teams. Again, we want to reduce the game to technique and effort to do that. And we believe that confidence is your belief in your technique. So we believe in 2 positions in football. You're either in speed or you're in power. Speed to gain ground, or power to change direction and create contact. There's 2 intentions in football. You're either trying to avoid contact or create contact, whether you're O-lineman, D-lineman, rushing, you're on the perimeter blocking for a screen. If you're on defense, you're trying to avoid the contact. Offense, you're trying to create the contact. If you're trying to get the ball carrier down, running back's broken free. Well, now the defense is trying to create the contact. Offense is trying to avoid the contact. So there's 2 positions, speed and power, 2 intentions, avoiding or creating contact. And then the junction point is where these 2 intentions meet, and that's where technique wins. And leverage is our advantage in these situations. So what I tell our guys is, if you have leverage, keep it. If you don't have it, go get it. If you can't get it, cut bait, because that's when penalties happen. So I give them some different tools to how we can win at the junction point. These are just a couple examples. We talk about front door moves, talk about backdoor moves, try to figure out creative ways to keep them engaged in the meetings. And so that's really kind of our main belief system about special teams and kind of our culture on the unit. So what I want to show you now, as I'm sharing my screen, is how we go about organizing our roster. So we talk about full roster development, okay? Every role on special teams has a specific body type that it requires. Now, obviously, I won't get into our specific schemes and what that looks like, but it's different for everybody, depending on what kind of KOR scheme you run, kickoff scheme, punt scheme. Okay. Everybody knows in their mind there's a specific body type, whether intentional or unintentionally done, that you need at that spot. And so I divide up our whole roster into 6 body types. I know I only have 5 listed here. It'll make sense here in a second. Okay. So this is an example of when I was at Charlotte under Coach Tyler Hancock, who's been a big influence on me, teaching me a lot of football while I was there, along with Coach Will Healy. And the 6 body types are this. 1 is small speed. Okay, so smaller guy, twitchy, really fast. A 2 is going to be speed, but he's got size. Okay. A 3 is going to be a big athlete. Right. In college, this was a guy that was 220 or higher. Here, I adjusted it to somebody that may be 190 pounds or more. A 4 is going to be a usable lineman. All right. And typically you can use these guys on punt, kickoff return, just somebody that you know can move well enough to do something for you. You can find something for them to do. A 5 is going to be a specialist or a quarterback. And then a 6 is a non-usable big. So everybody has them. And a lot of them are great kids and they still end up finding a way to contribute, but probably not going to be in space on special teams. So 1 small speed, 2 speed with size, 3 a big athlete, 4 usable lineman, 5 is specialist or quarterback. Okay. And then what I'll end up doing is once we create our depth chart, I will create what's called a not used list. So if we're doing a punt drill, right, and I know I got the 2 or 3 deep on punt, well, now I can look quickly within the roster like, hey, here's some guys I can get on the scout punt return team to evaluate them. Or maybe we're doing a punt drill specifically, but I know I need to work a double vice on the gunner. Well, then I can find 2 of these corners to put out there. Okay, so it just kind of helps you organize the roster. Okay, and then after spring occurs, we go into fall camp. We're really trying to nail down that 2 deep going into week 1, going into the scrimmage, whatever it may be for you. We'll rank each guy at what we think the position he can play is, if that makes sense. So like if we're looking for guys that can avoid really well on attack, which is our kickoff, we'll rank those guys, all right, all the way 1 through 8. Guys that can bully, okay, they can 2 gap for some of you, what you call it. We'll rank those guys, all right? Same thing for pride, which is our punt team, pride and joy, punt return. Who can jam at the line? Who can go block a kick? Who has a knack for that? And then on score, who's really good at single blocks? Who's really good at double teams, wedging, all that stuff. So we really try to nail down exactly where each guy fits role-wise for the entire roster. So that way we're able to develop everybody from the bottom up. And then what it'll allow us to do as well is script matchups. And I'll show you an example of this drill, but this is just a little 3-on-3 drill. And one thing that I don't like to do is, do a drill in special teams where the matchups aren't scripted, because that doesn't give me a good evaluation of what a kid can do. It doesn't help me if, Jeremiah T-Lander last year, who mid-year enrolled at Tennessee, is going against Riley Niblett in practice. Like that doesn't tell me what Jeremiah can do, right? So I want to make sure that there's somebody comparable when we're doing those drills. So we'll script all those matchups out. So this is just kind of a quick overview of how we go about organizing the roster, developing the roster, fitting each guy into a specific role when we're first starting out. Now, we talked about our culture. We talked about roster. Now, how do we go about organizing practice? Okay, how do I go about forming a practice script, making sure everybody is exactly where they need to be, helping the coaches get organized? I got a couple of example scripts I'm going to show you real quick. So this is a great one because this is when we were first teaching speed and power, okay? So I'll just put it in presentation mode for you. But what I'll do is I'll put the date, obviously what practice it is, the period, how much time we'll have, and then what we're going to do within that drill. Okay. So there will be a diagram that I have. So that way every coach knows exactly what we're doing, the spacing, the equipment that we need, because all we needed was cones for this drill. If they're not sure exactly what it's going to look like, I like to take a screenshot, maybe from some film I have, previous practices, whatever it may be, put that on there so that way they can see it. And then especially when we're first installing things, I always like to put some checkpoints for coaches as they're walking around correcting each guy, and then just drill teaching overall. Like, how are we actually going to teach this drill? Okay. So for instance, when we talk about power, we talk about feet under armpits, knees and ankles bent, knees inside your feet, weight on the inside part of your foot, and V's on thigh boards. That's a power stance for us. And we use that whether it's punt, kickoff return, whatever it may be. Then we'll transition from that. Okay, we know how to get in the power stance. Now, how do we move in power? We'll talk about that. Okay, and then also we'll talk about speed, because again, there's There's two positions, speed and power. So we got to teach our guys both. All right. So we'll talk about how do you get into a loaded speed stance? What does that look like? What's the coaching points? And then we'll do the same thing, but then we'll talk about how do you transition from speed back to power. Okay. But again, if you look on the script, everybody should know exactly where they need to be. All right. What it's going to look like. What's the spacing? What's the equipment? What's the coaching points? How does it look? How much time do we have in the period? What period number is it? So that way, it's not just you out there coaching special teams. You can get everybody involved. But whether we like it or not, I mean, the defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator, they're trying to get everything scripted for offense and defense, and the position coaches are making sure their position's good. So my job as a special teams coordinator is to make it as easy as possible at practice while still making sure that every player is being coached exactly how I want them to be coached with the technique that we're going to use on special teams. And I can do that by being as transparent and as fluid in my communication and clear in my communication as possible with every other coach. So this is just an example of one of my practice scripts. If we're moving to some more specific drill work, okay, then I'll make sure that each coach actually has an initial by what group they're going to be with. So like this was a pride punt pod work deal. I was working some, but if you look at each station, you see that we need 4 cones. We need 2 balls on a stick. We need a line strip, right? There's initials by where each coach is supposed to be. What are we actually working at that drill? Okay. And then we transition from the pod work to the teamwork. All right. So we got our depth chart above. So every coach knows exactly who's supposed to be at what spot. Hey, somebody's got an orthodontist appointment. It happens to all of us. Well, on the fly, we got to be able to call out that next guy and not go, hey, who's the 2? Who's the 2? That's wasted time. All right. We already don't get enough time, or there's really never enough time for a special teams coach. But we want to be as efficient as possible. Okay. When we're scripting the actual team session, I like to make sure for the coaches, I give them the tempo, right? Which we're working with. So for instance, this was a near hip tag tempo. Okay. We didn't want any tackling, anything like that, because we're just kind of going through it. We're going to have our starting point. Okay. Again, if you look up here, I have, hey, okay, coach, you got my diagram, but what side of the field is that on? Great. Labeled field house side. Okay. So they know right now we're kicking from the -19 field house to the elementary school to start, excuse me. Okay. We'll have the hash scripted, the group scripted, the call. Okay. We were going on air this day, but if we need a certain look on the scout team, I'll put that in there. And then the coverage with which we're working with. Sometimes it'll be cover 5. Sometimes it'll be full cover. And then any other specific note that I put in, like let's say it's a special package and I need to put in, hey, T-Lander's going to be in on this punt, or hey, Naeem's going to be in on this punt, right? I can put that in the note so that way it reminds me and it reminds the other coaches. Okay. All right. If we're working some sort of circuit work, again, it's going to have exactly what we need equipment-wise, exactly what line each coach is going to be working with, because again, we're trying to be as efficient as possible at practice. All right. We take time to be detailed in our preparation, then we'll see the results in practice, and the practice will then carry over to the game, which is the ultimate goal, to put these guys in position to be successful. So right here, we had a flip and fire drill going on one side of the field, a bully drill going on the other, right? We had to decide which position groups we're going to start where. Again, trying to see those body types working together, get some evaluations going. Okay, so we had the DBs and receivers start at flip and fire. There were 4 lines. We need 4 cones here. We need 4 cones up top. And all the coaches can see that. I can see that. So when I'm setting it up on the field, I'm not trying to remember, hey, how we set this drill up? No, like it's on the script. We're good to go. Okay. Down here at the bully drill, we knew we needed 12 cones total, right? 6 down here at the starting line, 6 up here. And we needed 6 hand shields for the guys that were working as the KOR guy in the example. Okay. Back here with our returners, the coaches that are with them, they got their coaching point right here. So if they forget, Coach, I was at Indy, what'd you say we need to do during the drill? They don't have to ask that, because I make sure that I list that for them. All right. And then the coaching points that we want to operate with, because who knows, I may start over here at bully drill, but then I see something at flip and fire that I need to go make sure I talk to a guy about and get corrected. Well, great. Coach Bryant, Coach Price, they can see the coaching points that need to be taught here: hairline on chin, power step, tight hands, push the truck, whatever it may be. They know exactly how to coach that drill, whether I'm there or not. And then we make sure we have our rotation listed as well. Okay. Same thing here. All right. We're working field goal or block party. Okay. We got exactly what we want. Every position listed out, every coach listed out. What equipment do we need? Okay. And this is a full field drill. Okay. So field house was down here. Elementary school side is on this side. Again, given the period number, the name of the period, everybody can be on the exact same page, knowing the equipment that we need, where every coach is going to be, where every position is going to be, how many lines are we going to have, what yard line are we on, coach. It's all laid out. So that way we can be as efficient as possible. And when that horn blows on that clock, all right, it is like clockwork. We are getting to our spots and we are rolling. So that's how we script practice to be as efficient as possible in preparing our special teams units. Now what I want to do is show you some tape, just some examples of some drills that we've done and how it's carried over to the game. So one thing, that everybody likes to work is the box out, right? But again, you're either in speed or power. You're either trying to create contact or avoid contact. So when we do this drill, okay, I like to tell the guy that's working as the return turner, okay, trying to protect for him, that, hey, if this guy stays speed, you stay speed, and we're working a box out. Okay. The returner's coming at him and he stops and he's trying to undercut. Well, then guess what? He gets back to power. Now I get back to power so I can stay right there with him. So my guy gets back to power. I should work a lockout. Okay. Like you see on the right, my guy stays speed. I stay speed. Another example here going the other way. Now on the right side, that guy turns his shoulders, gets back to power. Now I got to get back to power. On the left side, from our perspective, my guy stays speed. Now I got to stay speed and work the box out. Okay. One way that I tried to adjust this drill for us in practice is to kind of get a simulation of an actual returner being back there. So I know I'm such a great example of a great returner. I'm just kidding. But I went back there to be the returner. Okay. So that way they could get a good feel of the timing in which this box out needs to happen on both sides. And as you can tell, I put the guys blocking for the returner kind of at a disadvantage at the start. So that way they really had to work a good path. And just like we talked about earlier, if we don't have leverage, we have to go get it. And the best thing, like for instance, this may be a punt return and kickoff return. If you lose leverage, go find a returner and be ready to work a box out and stay speed. Okay. So here's a great example here of this happening. All right. Big time return. All right. So right here, we're watching number 5. He loses leverage on number 31 right here. But what's he going to do? Go find a returner. My guy stay speed. I'm going to stay speed. Right there, work the box out. Now we spring this guy legally for an explosive play. And what does that do? My favorite thing about special teams. Ignites a stadium, big return, okay, creating momentum. That's what we do, right? Nothing makes me happier than seeing our guys on the sideline fired up because we made a big play on special teams, okay? Here's another good view of it, all right? Here we go. He's lost leverage. Over here, work the box out. Now we're good to go. Okay. Another drill that will work for both punt return and punt is work a little gunner, jammer, compete. Okay. So we'll put a returner back here, right? And these two guys are just competing and we're scripting these. And you notice up here at the comment, I put who the winner is because we're going to have standings the next days in meetings of who won what was your record? Who's at the top? And you know what it also tells me? Who didn't get any reps? Who's trying to skip out? All right. So that lets me kind of know, all right, this guy's trying to hide in the back. He really doesn't he talks about it, but again, your actions are so loud. I can't hear what you're saying. Okay. Numbers don't lie. If you're not getting reps, that tells me all I need to know. So we'll work this. Okay. Obviously, the gunner's trying to get to the returner. As soon as that guy gets about 10 yards away, we're releasing that returner. All right. And right here, okay, this jammer lost leverage. So what should he do? He should take a direct path to the returner, be ready to work a box out. All right. He doesn't do that. He does not do that. Okay. And so the jammer will probably end up making that play. So I gave it to him. Another example here. Again, that guy got back to power, tried to undercut. Okay, he gets back to power. Now I got to get back to power. What number 9 is right here is a man in transition. That's what we don't want to be. That's when you're between speed and power, and that's when you get beat. Okay, good example right here by the jammer. He's trying to work to get back to power, right? But he gives the ball a block to run behind, so he ends up winning that one. Okay. We don't have this drill filmed exactly like this, but we like to teach our jammers how we want to react to gunners. So this is stuff we'll do before the spring, in the summer. Just work a little jammers react. Okay, DB's coaches, probably a familiar drill, all right? When we're working in practice, we'll put a returner back there to kind of give those gunners something to work off of. Then we're just working on reading that hip, okay, trying to keep them at the line sideways as long as possible. And then when we lose him, right, we want to work shoulder to tricep to forearm, working in trail technique. Okay. So we're just getting reps at working that. Good example right there by number 14 on your right side. All right. Again, if we're doing things in practice, they're not translating to the game, we got to drill it different. So I'm a big believer in making sure that what we drill in practice shows up on tape in the game. Because as coaches, at least for me, I believe that I am what I put on tape. Okay. Good, bad, whatever it may be. All right. And I got to live with it. That's my job as a coach. That's what I love to do. Okay. Play to our strengths and get better at whatever we may be weak at. All right. That's what the off season is for. So here's a great example right here, working a long arm stab. Okay. We're going to work a clamp technique right here. We're going to take away the inside. All right. Now I work shoulder, tricep, forearm. He gets a Peter call. A really good example of taking the drill to the game right here in the first game of the season. Okay. KOR wise, all right, this is one that will work, just flip and fire, okay? So we'll start a guy on the bottom of the numbers and a guy right here on the sideline, all right? What he's trying to do is beat this guy to the hash, get flipped around, get back to power, okay? Strike and win with inside leverage, all right? Here's a back view. Trying to beat this guy to the hash. They're racing to the hash, striking with hands inside, and eliminating vertical penetration. So we'll work flip and fire, okay? We'll also work bully zone compete. This is a great example, close proximity of working your kickoff and your kickoff return unit. On kickoff, what I tell our guys all the time is if you have time and space between you and the returner, meaning the returner's far away, you can keep avoiding the blockers. But when the returner is close, 10 yards are in, even 12 yards are in, okay? We got to bully. If we run around blocks at that point, the ball's going to run around us. And when I say bully, I mean two gap, I mean hairline on chin, power step in the ground, great base, shock the guy backwards, and then we're shedding to the football, okay? This is a great drill to work both of those things because your KOR guys, they're going to get bullied sometimes too, so they need to be ready for it. So how we set this drill up is we have a KOR guy here, kickoff guy here. I'm actually right here, okay? I'm telling the returners that we're either going this way or we're going this way when the ball snapped. Now, the KOR guys, they're going to know which way the return's going, okay? Their job, let's say the return's going this way. Then their job is to get in this box, set up here, flip and fire, and protect from this kickoff guy being able to bully him through these cones, okay? The kickoff guy is trying to do the exact opposite. He's trying to read this returner, and let's say the returner goes this way. Now, when this guy sets up here, he's trying to knock him through these two cones, working that bully, okay? The returner's there just to give them a visual. He's not actually going to get all the way to the returner. We're just more focused on the bully and the technique. Okay. So here's what it would look like. All right. Returners working to the left from the kickoff perspective. All right. KOR guys know that. Kickoff guys are trying to bully them through the cones. Okay. Again, this is another drill that I like to script up, that I like to keep standings of, figure out who's getting reps. Okay. Figure out who's good at what, who can bully on kickoff, who can take a bully on kickoff return. Okay. And if that KOR guy, just like in all these pictures right here, keeps them outside the two cones, then they win. All right. Returner goes the other way. Now the KOR guys got to protect on that side. Kickoff guys trying to bully him through the cones. But again, my number one drill with every my number one goal with every special teams drill is nobody gets hurt in special teams drills. Knock on wood. Nobody. And we were successful at that this year. Okay. So anytime you're trying to design a drill, all right, I'm big on figuring out what guys need to be where, how much time do they have, okay? How are we going to design it in a way that's safe from the spacing, all right, from the timing, all that stuff. And then how is everyone going to transition? Because again, you got to be able to move an entire team with your field space, all right? So those are just some of the things that I consider when designing and deciding to do some of these drills, okay? But again, translating it to the game, okay? How do we do this? All right, so here we go. Got a quarterfinal football game against a really, really good team, okay? All right, so here we go. This guy right here, all right, I had been on hard this week, okay? Got on him bad during practice in front of everybody, okay? To his credit, young guy, sophomore, he took it to heart, right? He took the coaching points. He didn't get sensitive. He didn't get in his feelings, okay? And right here, he did exactly what we work, okay? How do we take a bully? How do we get back to power, flip, and fire? Makes a great block right here against a big D lineman running full speed down the field, okay? Right there, all right? And that ends up springing open a big seam for our returner, Trey Reese. And we end up having a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. The game had just been cut to one score, and we were able to extend that back to 2 scores, a huge play in November. But again, that stuff doesn't just happen. You do that first in practice. You do that first in how you teach in meetings, because we talked about boiling the game down to technique and effort. Okay. That kid right here, all right, he had to have this technique taught. He had to have belief in that technique, because that's confidence. And then he had to give great effort. Knowing this guy's wearing down full speed, right? He's going to have to strike him, okay, get him out of the way. But that's what he does. That's what we do, because we believe in being 11 strong. We love the guys that are behind us. And again, this is what you do it for. Look at this excitement. That's what great technique and effort gives you. Okay. Another kickoff return, kickoff drill that will work is a void zone compete. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll set up a cone for the KOR guy, cone for the kickoff guy, and then we'll set up a box. Okay. Set up a box. All right. And then we'll set up 2 finishing cones. So this KOR guy is trying to drop to this box, flip and fire. Right. This avoid zone guy, he's not working to bully. He's trying to now avoid. So now we're working when we do have time and space. So he can make one move. He's trying to step back on top of that guy and finish through the 2 cones. Okay. If the KOR guy can knock him outside the box, he wins. If the kickoff guy can make one move and get between the 2 cones, he wins. We script this up, we keep score. Right. So right here is a great example. Okay, so here we go. All right. He's kind of working the bully. All right, but he's trying to avoid him. He finishes through the 2 cones. He wins. We got a holding down here. But again, it kind of shows me like who can do what, where do we still need to get better at. But we can get some kickoff and kickoff return work in just full team sessions. Okay. All right, another drill we'll do for kickoff return is 3-on-3 compete. We'll script these matchups up. All right. We'll call the guys out. We'll have 3 lines going. The important part is these guys are up, ready to go. Okay. We got these lines here. All right. And they're ready to jump in for the very next rep. So that way we're going fast. All right. But we'll release these guys. Okay. When these guys get to the 15-yard line, the coach back here will release the returner. That returner is just trying to find an open seam. All right. We're working a tag tempo here. Okay. So great way just to kind of work everybody, get a full eval on everybody, see who can do what. All right. This is an example of West Virginia doing it. Okay, so 3 kickoff return guys, 3 kickoff guys. All right, you cut down the field space to make it realistic. And then you also give the returners an opportunity to be able to work that timing, to train their eyes, to understand how to hit vertical seams, full speed, to set up their blocks. Okay, everybody's benefiting off this drill. How can we work multiple things within one drill, all right, to maximize our time? Now, when we have a square view of the returner, all right, that means he has a 3-way go. So if I'm the returner here, okay, and I'm running with the football, all right, okay, and I'm facing you, I can go this way, I can go this way, or I can go straight ahead. All right. When we have that view of the returner as a kickoff unit, I say that we have to get back to power, because if they have a 3-way go, we have to have a 3-way go. So my belief is if you have a square view, you have to be power 2. Power 2 means I'm getting back to power, then I'm closing space to be able to make the play. Some people call it shimmy, whatever you call it in your program. Okay, we're power to the returner. All right. If the returner's facing sideways here, okay, then now he's only going this direction. So now we can take a shot. All right. We can be aggressive. So I say side view, speed through. So square view, power 2, side view, speed through. So this is an example here of working that square view. Okay. We avoid. All right. We have no time and space. So we have to bully. All right. The returner is square. So now we have to get back to power, shed, make the play. Okay. So this is a way that we work that technique. All right. Square view, power 2, training their eyes, working bully, working avoid. Great example here. Oh, sorry. Okay, so right here, all right, he's got a square view of this returner. Okay. He's also got a bully, all right, because he has no time and space. So again, how can we transition drills to the game? Bully, shed the block, get back to power, make the play. Great job by that guy. Okay. Now, side view, we're speeded through, taking a shot. We avoid. We have a side view of the returner. Now we're aggressive, speed through. Okay. Here's an example of taking that to the game. Right now, 38 right here has a side view of the returner, so he can be aggressive. Here's a sideline shot of that. Watching 38, okay? You get side view, speed through. All right, we work direct angle all the time. Okay, we want to replace that tackle's butt, take the air out. Okay, this is just working some punt block stuff, training their hands, diamond hands, right? Blocking it with your eyes. Okay, we work corner block. I didn't have this drill taped, but this was actually on that circuit that I showed you on the practice script. Okay, we'll work one of these with half the corners and safeties. The other side will work kind of safety stuff, fake stuff like that. Right, but working on being tight down the line, getting flat. Okay, blocking it with our eyes. How do we transition to the game? Second round playoff game. Here we go. Watching this kid right here, getting great ball get off. Right, tight, flat, diamond hands, block it with your eyes. Big play in the game. Able to block, I think it was 6 field goals, PATs or field goals this year. But it doesn't just happen. It's because these guys believe in the technique that we're teaching. We drill it, and so they have that belief. Big play in the game right there. Okay. So those were a couple of practice drills that we used. And guys, look, I'm available. if you have any questions for me, you want to ask anything, again, feel free to reach out. It's Coach R. Niblett. And I'd love to speak with you guys. And again, that's our culture. That's how we organize practice, develop the roster, and then that's how we transition practice drills to the game. So, Coach, hopefully that added some value, and I'd love to take any questions you may have. And
Man, I thought that was great. I wonder what time you get to sleep.
Shoot, we're trying to get as much as I can these days, I guess. But
well, I think what people will find is the work. What I noticed, because I do understand a lot about organization, it's one of my things, and there's a lot of work that goes into doing the things you're doing away from practice. I think a lot of people are going to say, you know, Gainesville has this or Gainesville has that. They got a nice facility. They got everybody has the same amount of time to organize their scout team. Everybody has the same amount of time to get their scripts ready to really take it. And so I say that to point out that I was really impressed with the work that I saw you put in just by how we're scripting things and how you're setting the drills up and taking the time to do some of that probably in the off season to get templates to sort done. And so my advice to anybody that saw that and thought they can't do that, they most certainly can. That you didn't have to have $100 million. You didn't have to have a big building. You didn't have to have a fancy. You just needed like an Excel or, you know, something that ran Excel or Google Sheets or something. And you could set that stuff up, but it takes a lot of time and effort. So I know Coach Niblett and the other guys you work with really appreciate your time and effort, but I also want people to see that they could also do that too. That even at their school, wherever their school may be, and
absolutely,
and you can speak on that or you cannot. I just wanted to point out that I was, one, impressed with the work you put in, and two, I think people, if they're paying attention, can steal some of those ideas and do it at their school, even if they don't have as many coaches or even if they don't have the same time. Or whatever. Is that fair to say?
Oh, I completely agree. And I'll tell you, for me, like I give all the credit in the world to the head coach that I work for, whether he's my uncle or not, all right, somebody that's coached special teams, because he's coached at smaller schools. He hadn't always been at a place that has an indoor, has a nice facility, all that stuff. Like, he's been at smaller schools. He's been at small colleges. You know, obviously we have an unbelievable staff that buys into what, or not buys in, because coach likes to say he doesn't believe in buying in, because if you buy in, you'll sell out, but they invest in what we do on special teams. And that's a big piece too, Coach. I know you know a coach or two on our staff, and if you don't work with guys that don't believe in it, then it makes it really, really tough. Because obviously you saw the detail that does go into it. And if you don't have guys that are willing to help you carry out that vision, then it does make it tough. But if you're at a place that is trying to find an edge, then I think there's no better place to find it than on special teams. And honestly, when I first got here, coming from Charlotte to join my uncle's staff here, that was one of the first things I told the kids is like, look, one of the biggest ways that we can close this gap that we have right now is if you will believe what we're doing on special teams and believe that it can truly change games. Because I do think it's rare sometimes. And we're spoiled. Like, I'm not here to try to act like we don't have a lot, because we do. I mean, we do. It's unbelievable. And there's certainly advantages that we have with field space and coaching staff size and all that stuff. But again, just like you said, a lot of the stuff that I showed you was done or thought of or created before I was here, outside of my time, whatever it may be. And I think it's there's always a way, if you believe in it and you believe that it can help your program. And just like I said before, if there's somebody that does believe in that and wants to instill some of these things, I'd love to have those conversations.
Yeah. I would advise anybody to reach out. Yeah, because I just think it's important to note that a lot of what I saw was you guys getting organized before practice, or you doing some work after practice that helped the next day. And I think you're the old guy when you start talking about back in the day, but I do think we became so obsessed in the last 20 years with telling everybody you don't have to be at the field house all day. And you don't. But then sometimes people took that so seriously that they missed out on some of the old guys that used to really work a lot. And so if you're able to put in the time to get your drills organized, to make sure you got them set up so the other coaches know how to execute them. That's going to pay off. And that's going to pay off no matter what your facilities are, no matter what your roster size is. It doesn't
Absolutely.
matter what I'm saying. And it's just a cop out sometimes to assume you guys can do that and they can't. And I don't,
Well, and I'll say too, coach, like, just like you talked about, like, I don't believe in just working hard to work hard, like banging your head against the wall, but also I always hear like work smarter, not harder. And I'm like, well, I think you can work hard smarter, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And so, like, for me, like, a lot of this stuff I'll set up beforehand, like that drill, some of those drills you saw, their diagram now, like now I have those diagrams forever. So whenever I want to go and say, hey, we need to work this drill today, well, that's done. It's just putting in the time on the front end. And heck, I didn't even draw up some of that, a lot of that stuff. A lot of that I got from, the special teams coordinator who's been my mentor, Tyler Hancock, who's at Baylor now. But, when there's investment on the front end, then on the back end, you end up kind of seeing the fruits of your labor. Right. For sure.
Just like everything else. Just like everything else. Coach, sure. I appreciate you taking some time, man. I'm looking forward to talk to you in the future, and really impressed with what you guys are doing, man. Keep it up.
Thank you so much.
Take care.